Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. I want to start this week and talk about the outer planets. Anytime we see big movements in the outer planets, that's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, we're really looking at changes in the collective themes that we're exploring and working with. These are the outer planets really set the tone for our collective evolution. Now, obviously, these energies will impact your personal chart, but they also sort of set the tone for what we're exploring together as human beings, inextricably entangled with each other on this beautiful planet. This week, we see a shift in Pluto. Now, Pluto is a planet that regulates and brings us the themes about death and rebirth, cycles of expansion and transformation. Pluto has been in the last year really heavily visiting the gate 61, the gate of wonder in quantum human design. This is a gate that really kind of forces us to have to reckon with the theme of truth. Now, that truth has two expressions. We're talking about truth as in what's true and what's not, and also truth as in cosmic truths. The real call for the 61, the real purpose of this energy is for us to take a big enough step back in our perspective to really be able to see what is really happening. What is the bigger truth here? Now, if we look at bigger truths, cosmic truths, what we know from the cosmic understandings of the world, and actually even from quantum physics, is that we are literally inextricably entangled with each other. We are connected. What happens to you happens to everyone. What happens to people out here actually happens to us. We are completely and totally part of the same breathing, living, conscious field. And when we understand that, when we look at the world through that lens, it starts to give us insights into how we can better live as if we are connected, live as if we are one. And of course, the trick is doing that in our human story. On the material plane, it's not always so easy, right? When you're locked up in quarantine with people for a whole year and they leave their socks on the floor. And yet, what we've been exploring is how do we show up in better alignment with these bigger truths? How do we live together in a way that expresses these deeper truths? Of course, on a very personal, very mundane level, on a very human level, we haven't necessarily been looking at the big truths. We've been looking at the question, what is true or not? What is news? What is not news? What is fake news? What is manipulated media? What is true or not? That has been the big exploration we've been going through collectively. And as this planetary shift happens, I feel like it's going to be possible that that focus on truth and what is truth will shift a little bit. That maybe we're moving into bigger, broader perspectives that help us see what is true and what is not, what is the true nature of how we're connected to each other. And from that viewpoint, from that bigger perspective, we'll stop duking it out about who's right or not and start looking at how do we instead need to innovate the solutions necessary to tackle the challenges facing humanity. We are potentially still at a tipping point in crisis with pandemic, with all kinds of things happening on the planet. And if we're pushing through with an energy of rightness, instead of genuinely listening and hearing each other, being respectful of differing perspectives and finding those places in the Venn diagram where we have commonality, where we can build on what is working rather than pushing through with our rightness, we have a better chance of being able to innovate, which is exactly what Pluto's movement this week brings to us. We're moving from the 61 focus, this focus on truth and wonder, into the gate 60, which is the gate of conservation. Now, let's talk about this energy for a minute because it's part of an energy that's connected to mutative circuitry that brings the potential for transformation and change. The 60 is the electromagnetic to the gate 3, which is the energy for innovation. The thing about change and innovation is this. Number one, or things, there's more than one thing. Number one, change, real change, sustainable and enduring change takes time. It takes time. And part of why it takes time, especially if it's mutative, if it's transformational change, is because you can't just go willy-nilly out into making a big radical change, having a mutation, experiencing mutation, without checking in and going, is this a good idea? Let's try it out. We have to explore mutations and verify and validate through logical circuitry if the changes we're seeking to bring are actually going to benefit the most amount of people possible. So we can't innovate without also looking at what's come before. What in the current situation or what from the past has worked. Because to innovate, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and start completely new. We're going to build on what we know already works. That is the nature of the energy of the gate 60, conservation. So we're moving into a new cycle where we have the potential to, with great open minds, with the intention to find the elegant solutions to the challenges facing humanity, we have the opportunity to look at what has worked, what is working, what perspectives are supporting the expansion of what could be working, and to grow from that place, to grow from a place of innovation rather than rebellion, rather than a reactive necessity to be right. Now, that's the high side. I do want to lovingly and gently say the shadow side is conservatism. And of course, conservatism is that white knuckling, holding on, not wanting to go forward and hoping things will go back to the way they were. They won't. They won't. There's no way with the way the planetary transits are for the next 10 years that we're going back to the way things were before. So if you wish that was true, I want to really encourage you this week to take a deep breath and go, okay, maybe they're not. But how can we bring with us the things from the past, from the way things were before? How can we bring those things with us as we move forward? That's the question that the 60 encourages us to explore, and to explore with conscious deliberation and not from a reactive place. And so, of course, to get conscious and to be deliberate, we have to also have an intention or a goal if you want to make it more mundane. We have to have a vision of what we're creating. And certainly I would say as we move into this 60 energy, the 61, the energy that we've been in, has given us the possibility of seeing a big enough picture that we can create a big enough vision that'll call us forward into the fulfillment of the full potential of the human story. And of course, again, taking a page from quantum physics, the full potential of the human story is that we all understand that we are inextricably connected. You get my point? I've said it 3 times now. And that all life, all sentient life, even maybe not so sentient life, although I think that would maybe be plants, but I think my plants are highly sentient. All sentient living forms are precious and valuable and worthy of being sustained and taken care of and nurtured in an equitable, just, abundant, and sustainable way. That's where we have to head. In consciousness first. We have to create this energy, this faith that we can build a world that reflects these principles in consciousness first, and then figure out what has worked, and then grow what is working and what has worked so that we can innovate forward. That's the outer planets. And of course, that theme is being reflected really through all of the outer planets right now. And the energy right now is sensitive and emotional and intense. And we are definitely walking this fine line between being reactive and being deliberate. So definitely a call this week, a continued call this week, for us to really get clear about what do we want? Not just personally, but collectively. And how do we drop into the energy of really holding the vision, the construct, the energy template, the faith, that even if we can't see the evidence of it yet, we are building, actively building, towards creating a world of equitable, just, sustainable peace. Which brings me to the sun and the earth this week. The sun this week transits through the gate 36, the gate of exploration, moving on Friday to the gate 25, the gate of spirit. This energy, this gate 36 energy, which actually was the highlight of our new moon on Friday, Saturday, depending on where you lived, brings us the possibility, when the timing is right, and that's a big piece of it, when the timing is right, it actually brings with us the opportunity to leap into new experiences. And those new experiences have the potential to shatter old patterns and to stretch and expand the boundary of the edge of what's possible in the human story. So it is literally an exploratory energy. When we are playing with this energy, we're looking at the edges of what's possible in the human story and how we can better move those edges, explore those edges, think about what else is possible in the human condition. And those new stories, I like to call them miracles, can actually break or shatter the old patterns of what we thought was possible because they redefine for us what is actually possible. This exploratory energy moves us into a deeper alignment with Source on Friday, when we move into the middle of this current creative quarter, the quarter of possibility, where we look at our goals for the year and we ask ourselves, how do we need to deepen our faith and our connection to Source, trust Source, enough to continue to expand on the fulfillment of our intentions without worrying about how's that going to happen? Because we don't need to figure that part out. That's the part that life's intelligence reveals to us when we relax and we trust and we drop into the full expression of who we are. The Earth this week grounds us in the gate 6, the gate of impact, moving on Friday to the gate 46, the gate of embodiment. This impact energy is very interesting because it is definitely an energy that will compel us to make decisions that can be, in their lower expression, deeply tribal, cause us to hold on to resources, to hold back, to take care of our own and not worry about anybody else. And so that certainly can be a theme, but in its highest expression, this is sustainable impact. This is the ability to, through your own embodiment of your trust in Source, your trust in your own sustainability, your trust in the possibility of an abundant future, that from that place you can impact others and bring other people into the material access to sustainable resources, sustainable energy, sustainable goods. So this can be an energy that can be war in its shadow, and it can be peace and expansion and distribution of resources and sharing in its highest expression. There's a longing when this gate is at play for us to feel like we have impact. And I just want to remind you that your impact is amplified exponentially when you're connected to your higher purpose. This isn't about ego. This is about me being seen. This is about you dropping into your right place of service and trusting that when you're serving at that level, whatever that is for you, whether that's checking groceries, whether that's taking care of children, whether that's being an engineer, whatever that is for you, when you're serving your highest place, and that's not really about your job. I have to be clear about this. This is you being you. That's not you doing a job. That's you being you. You can be you doing anything. That's what I meant to say. When you live from that place, your impact is enduring. Your impact increases the possibility that others can also be at peace in a sustainable way. With the movement on Friday of the Earth into the gate 46, the energy of embodiment, it's a gentle reminder for us to take a pause starting on Friday for the next 6 days after Friday to connect with Source and to nurture our bodies, not only our spirit, not only nurture our spirit, but nurture our bodies and to take care of ourselves. That 46 energy can sometimes be burnout. And if you've been pushing and grinding and hustling and not taking those pauses, if you've been dealing with a lot of emotional upheaval without the self-care, the self-generosity, the self-nurturing, this is the week to get on top of that and to really, really take care of yourself, to make sure that you yourself, your body itself, that vehicle for that higher self soul of yours, that your body is sustainable. Because when your body is sustainable, then you can be sustainable. And when you can be sustainable, then you can create sustainably, and you can stop reacting and be deliberate and be a big part of making this world what it is growing into becoming. So take care of yourselves, love yourselves, nurture yourselves. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week.